Welcome back to Peace, Love and Tarot. This reading is for Gemini, Sun, Moon or Rising, and it's weekly reading for the week of October 7th to the 13th. Your cards this week, Gemini, we have the Age of Light Oracle card. We have the Nine of Swords, the Two of Pentacles, the Three of Swords, the Page of Swords, the Four of Swords, and the Two of Swords. A lot of Swords energy going on here, Gemini. A lot of potentially overthinking, a lot of overanalyzing, a lot of intellectual energy going on here with Swords being that suit of the mind and intellect. But before we get into the reading, or the cards, let's start with your Oracle card here, the Age of Light. You've been training for this for lifetimes. Mystics and sages throughout the ages have predicted this period in history, and you decided to incarnate in the middle of it. There is no mistake that you're supposed to be here in this time of great change. If you feel unprepared or daunted by the path that is calling you, know this. You've been training for this for lifetimes. You are way more than the days that have breathed life through you in this life. You're also all the lifetimes that came before. All of these experiences have polished your soul into the most magnificent expression that is your authentic self. What I also see in this Oracle card in relation to the reading that we see here, Gemini, is that it's clear that there has been something that's been burdening you and holding you down and causing you, a state of stress. But really, you need to remember who you truly are, and that's a being of light. I see in this card somebody who wants to break free, somebody who wants to raise their vibration, someone who wants to evolve spiritually. In order to do that, and in terms of the planetary activity that's going on at the moment, is a lot of people are being called to purge situations and things and people that are no longer serving our highest purpose, so that we can make way for the love and the beautiful energies to come in that we should be experiencing. So that's what I see in your reading this week, Gemini, is that there is a clearing going on. There is something that needs to be released so that you can let more of that light and love energy in. So let's start in your recent past position with the Nine of Swords and the Two of Pentacles. So for me, this says that you have been in a state of indecision recently. Now, this is really, really similar to the Libra reading. I had both of these cards come out, so it's not just you guys. Maybe it's an air sign thing this week. But, that Two of Pentacles can be about indecision. It can be about feeling in two minds. Or pulled in two different directions about a situation. So guys, this is a general reading, so you'll know what it is for you, but we can clearly see that it is a matter of the heart, something that's near and dear to you. Yes, for some that can mean a relationship situation, friendship, something to do with a family member. It could also be in the realm of job and business. If you feel like you may need to move on from a role that's been causing you some level of anxiety. But either way, with that Two of Pentacles, it is about feeling out of balance. Maybe you make a decision, a tentative decision in your mind to move on or to release that situation, and then it improves just that little bit, and then you change your mind. So it's like these pentacles are sort of always one's up in the air or one's down. It's like there isn't a firm decision, because that state of indecision keeps you, weighing up these options and going between them. And that makes you feel, unstable and ungrounded. And it can also, trigger strong emotions within us. But I think from my experience, there's nothing worse than being in that state of in-between or indecision. Once you've actually made the decision, that's when you can either, heal, you can release, you can move on. You can, attract other things into your life. But when you're sort of in that space in between, that's when you hold yourself stuck energetically. And that's what we see here in that Nine of Swords. It is an ominous card. It's very dark. It's very heavy. It's situations that weigh heavily on your mind. Things, that you feel like it's all stacked up against you. Can be that feeling of overanalyzing, overthinking. Here we have somebody who's waking up in the middle of the night. Sometimes it's when we relax at the end of the day and we have that little bit of time and space that all the thoughts come in, and it can cause us, anxiety and insomnia, and for some of you, even depression, I'm feeling here. The key for moving out of this is to make a firm decision, so you can put those 2 feet on the ground and start to move on from the situation, start to clear it. Okay, all right, and I really see that this is the week, Gemini, that the decision comes to a head and you're able to make that decision. So you're the Two of Swords, it really can talk about, weighing up two equal options. It also talks about indecision. And you can see there that the character in the card, she's clearly guarding her heart because she knows that once she's made this decision, there is going to be some kind of pain, some kind of healing that needs to take place. It can talk about being blinded by emotions in decision making. So the reminder here is to try and make your decision from a place of practicality, a place of logic, rather than a place of emotions, because emotions can cloud our logic. So for example, if this is a work situation and you're deciding whether to stay or go in a job or a role, thinking about the practicalities. A, are you getting the pay that you deserve and desire? 2, is there career progression for you? Is there longevity in this role? C, do you have good working relationships with your bosses, mentors, colleagues, and you enjoy going to work every day? If it's a relationship, do you share the same values? Can you see yourselves living harmoniously together into the future? Are you on the same page about, having children? All those kind of important things. They are kind of the logistical practicalities rather than, getting heated or getting charged by, emotions and an argument that might have gone down and, feeling bad and guilt and shame, those kind of things. We want to make our decisions from a place of logic. Yeah, and I do see you making that decision this week, Gemini, but, just bear in mind, it could expose that heart of yours. Yes, it might be painful, but the thing is that as soon as you have done that, you can then start to heal, because as soon as you expose this heart, to the air and to the elements, it is going to start to heal. But it could be uncomfortable for a period of time as you come to terms with that decision that you've made. It might be hard conversations you need to have with a boss or with a mentor or a partner, but it really is in your greatest good, because you have been living in a state of stress for a while. So sometimes there is just a little bit more deep hurt that we need to go through before we can actually start to rebuild. And rebuild you will, Gemini, but you just may need to take a little bit of healing time, a bit of time out first. I mean, look at this. It's the perfect progression here from the Three of Swords to the Four of Swords. We have that link to the Three of Swords here. So this is saying that, yes, you might need some recovery time from the grief, the pain, if there is any associated with the situation. It talks about regrouping, taking some time out to formulate a new battle plan, to work out where you want to go moving forward. So, towards the end of the week, clear your weekend, take the time out that you need. It might be an extended period of time. If you have been in a state of anxiety for a while, there could even be some adrenal burnout. So really take the rest and self-care that you need. And, when you're ready, you'll know when the time is right. You'll pick up the sword here that you've been leaving underneath you, or, in terms of, that's a metaphor for, when your energy returns, you can, pick it up and get back into the world again. And that's what we see here with the Page of Swords. So the Page of Swords for me in this reading indicates you, reborn, feeling youthful and young again, feeling energetic, beginning to carve forth a new direction in your life. It can be called the Wind of Change card. So this is when, when the time is right, when you've regained your energy, you'll be able to pick up that sword and you'll be able to begin and take the initial steps of new progress in your life. Page of Swords, it's also with that sword, it can be about victory, it can be about cutting yourself free from things, it can be about establishing new boundaries in your life. So this is what I see you doing. And, it's from a tentative, younger place. You might feel a little bit vulnerable, but, if we keep on in that direction, then, that will only deepen and mature for you. So that's what I have for you this week, Gemini. Hope you enjoyed the reading. Keep in mind it is a general reading, so it won't resonate with all of you. Feel free to leave me a comment. I'd love to know how it's playing out in your daily life. And yeah, all the best for this week as you make that decision and begin your healing journey.